Hello friends, my name is Alexa and welcome back to the second video on my channel where I'll talk about the various books that I've read so far. Today I will be talking about the second book in a Disney A Twisted Tale series called Once Upon a Dream by Liz Braswell. In case you didn't know about the Twisted Tale series, this series takes your classic Disney films and adds a little twist to them. In this book, Once Upon a Dream takes the classic film Sleeping Beauty and adds a little twist to it. The twist in this book is, what if the Sleeping Beauty never woke up? Before I get started, I will warn you there is going to be spoilers as I will be explaining what exactly happened in this book in more detail. So if you wish to avoid spoilers, I will leave a timestamp in the description if you want to skip to that, when that will have the rating that I gave this book. With that said, let's get started. And I will warn you now, there will be spoilers beyond this point. This book begins with Prince Philip finishing off Maleficent's dragon form, and then after that Philip goes to where Aurora is sleeping and he kisses her to try to wake her up, but instead he falls asleep. And so then after that we move on to where Aurora is in her dream world where everybody is trapped. In the dream world, Aurora's parents are very evil. They banished people who did not agree with them, and they hunted unicorns and other magical creatures till extinction. The king and queen were disappointed they didn't have a son, and they just treated Aurora pretty horribly. They gave her rags and they neglected her, and they only gave her very fancy dresses to keep up appearances. Instead of the 3 good fairies, they're now the 3 evil fairies. They still give the same gifts like beauty, song, dance, but instead the 3rd gift is giving the king and queen power to attain what they want or their desires. And the 3 bad fairies or 3 evil fairies will claim Aurora on her 16th birthday. The king and queen in the dream world use dark magic to create demons to wage war on their neighbors, and that caused the landscapes to now be wastelands where then the creatures actually turn on the king and queen. So now the evil spirits or evil demons are ruling the wastelands, and so now nobody can go outside because it's not safe for them. So everybody's held up into this castle that Maleficent is ruling over now, and Aurora's parents are thrown in prison because Maleficent is now Aurora's auntie, quote unquote auntie. And then when Aurora is in her room, some minstrel comes into her room and tells her that there's an outside and that she's the key for everybody to finally be able to go outside. And Aurora's a little confused on what he is talking about because she has no idea what that even means. And then while she's then Maleficent shows up into her room and drags the minstrel away, and Maleficent kind of tells her that he's gone mad and that to just ignore him. And then once Maleficent leaves, a deck of cards mysteriously fall onto the ground, and Aurora pauses because to her it's familiar what those deck of cards look like, because there's images that she recognizes. There's also this new character that they introduced in the book called Lady Liana, and she is Aurora's handmaiden. They also have a lot of balls while they're while Aurora and the whole royal court is like trapped into this castle that is protected, quote unquote protected, by Maleficent's thorns. In the book there's also like this repetitiveness of like outside, and like the word outside or talking about outside is like a huge taboo. Like you can't say it, otherwise something like some things happen to people who like mention that all the time. And then Aurora has like these snippets of like the real world in her dreams that she doesn't understand, but she like has a familiar feeling to him, like to her dreams. Back in the real world, the three good fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather, they're like trying to wake her up, but they're also trying to reach her inside her dream, and they like show up as the little balls of energy, and they're like telling her to try and wake up, and Aurora is confused because she doesn't know what the heck is going on. During one of the balls, Aurora's aunt, Lady Astrid, is taken away to Maleficent's chambers, and so Aurora's curious on what the heck is going on. So she like follows her up there, and she like watches as Lady Astrid is stabbed and ultimately killed, while Maleficent is like using her blood to like keep herself inside the dream. I don't know the word to it, but anyway, she's like using the blood of all the people who are asleep in the dream world to keep her alive. And unfortunately, if you die in the dream world, that means you die in reality. So Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather have the horror of seeing in the real world the people who die in the dream die in real life, like very violently. But also Aurora finds out that she is in a dream. She's trapped in the dream. And so she tries to escape the Thorn Castle, in which she succeeds in, while Maleficent is trying to stop her from doing so. And then once Aurora realizes that this, where she's at, is a dream, all these like real world memories come back and flood her head. That causes her to be in like very bad migraines and headaches, because there's conflicting memories with the real world and the dream world. Eventually, like, Maleficent kills King Stefan and Queen Leia, and so then, well, I'm sure you know what happens in the real world by now, but yes, they do die in the real world. Eventually, Prince Philip finds Aurora while she's like trying to figure out how to get out of the dream. Like, she's going through like this forest, but she also realizes that the wasteland is not really a wasteland. Like, there's not that many demons roaming around like she thought there would be. And so Philip is also trying to help her remember, and as he's trying to help her remember, like, these memories keep flooding back to Aurora, and she's like getting frustrated and like in pain the whole time. But she's also like doing these various trials to like figure things out. Like I said, she goes through all these trials. So like the first trial she goes through, she meets all these wood nymphs, and they're like very kind to her at first, until they turned into like these demon-like creatures and began attacking them once Aurora wanted to leave, because the nymphs or demons didn't want her to leave. They were basically created by Maleficent's power. So every single time she goes through a trial, the like evil spirits or demons she faces, they're all sent by Maleficent to try to stop her from figuring out how to escape the dream. When the nymphs are attacking, Philip is kind of holding them back so Aurora can get away, but she didn't want to leave without Philip, and so they both kind of run away and they flee into this village when another like larger demon-like creature was chasing after them, but the demon like couldn't enter the village. When they get there, there's like all these people dancing in a circle, and Philip thinks it's a trap because the people are kind of ignoring them. And so Aurora has to like face off with like this weird demon that like keeps making her sing. But she eventually beats the demon. But of course, with her keeping like trying to like keep singing, she messes up her throat. So while Aurora's like healing her throat and whatnot, like Philip tells Aurora about himself and how we learn more about Philip's family and how he has like 3 sisters and how Philip still has his horse Samson. And then they're once again attacked by demons, and Aurora actually kills one with Philip's sword while he's trying to fight another one off. And Philip is very proud of her, and he's happy to be around her, and he respects Aurora. While all that is going on, Maleficent is still in the castle, and she's getting more desperate to still keep herself in the dream. So she starts killing more people of the royal court, and so they're dying in reality as well. The final trial Aurora has to face is the demon within herself. How while she was isolated in the real world, like being kept in the cottage, she was depressed. She said that she went willingly to prick her finger because she thought that it would kill her. Because she just wanted to escape it. She just wanted to go to sleep. But then Aurora fights off this demon after she realizes that her life is more than just the gifts that the 3 good fairies gave her. And then they eventually reunite with King Hubert, which is Philip's father, because the 3 good fairies from the real world were able to project themselves and were able to bring Hubert to them. And King Hubert led them to a safe space in Aurora's mind, which is the cottage in which she grew up with. The cottage is like this safe space in her head that she created like subconsciously. So they basically like recuperate, they prepare themselves for the fight with Maleficent. Aurora is practicing fighting with the sword with Maleficent. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather were able to help like create this armor for her to put on, and she like grabbed her sword, and then they made their way back to the castle where Maleficent is ruling. There's like this huge battle in the throne room. Aurora's fighting against Maleficent while Philip is just watching because Aurora wants to be the one to fight her off. Maleficent is even attacking her own creatures in her desperation to stop Aurora. Aurora said her true gifts are intelligence, bravery, and compassion. Once Maleficent once again turned into her dragon form, Liana, who was Aurora's maiden or handmaid was actually one of Maleficent's creatures, but she wanted to protect Aurora from one of Maleficent's attacks, but she gets accidentally, or rather not accidentally, but she gets killed by Maleficent by standing in Maleficent's way to Aurora. Aurora eventually kills Maleficent's dragon form with her own spinning wheel, which then banishes Maleficent from the dream world. And since Maleficent is already dead in the real world, Maleficent's no longer around. Before they left the dream, Aurora said one last goodbye to Liana, who then transformed into this young girl who was Aurora described her expression as at peace. Aurora said it was Maleficent as what she originally was. There's also an epilogue, and so we go through Aurora's coronation. King Hubert got kind of messed up, so he thinks from the dream world and the real world, his mind is a little off. And so when he asked Aurora if Philip and her were going to get married, and she tells him, no, not today. So Prince Philip and Aurora rule their kingdom separately, though I hope eventually they'll get married. But Aurora wants to have this independency, and even though the royal court, the counselors or whatever, didn't believe Aurora could rule, she's telling them, no, I can do this, and if you don't like it, basically leave, you know what I mean? Like all these books, I really like how it delves into these darker themes like depression and whatnot. Even though it's a Disney book, it doesn't shy away from any of that. I did rate this book a 3.5 to 4 stars. To be honest, I kind of almost DNF'd it, especially in the middle. It was just repetitive a little bit. Aurora's attitude wasn't exactly my favorite thing. She kind of whined a little bit. The battle at the end was pretty cool. Would I recommend this book? I would recommend it only if you like the characters from Sleeping Beauty, or if you like the movie Sleeping Beauty. Or like I said with the previous video, if you like Disney books or anything Disney, then you might like this book. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe. And if you have read this book before, then please let me know down in the comments whether you like this book, or if you didn't like this book, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Until next time, bye friends.